Jen with Top Dog Dies, and today I'm going to show you how you can use the Mason Jar album die and the Mason Jar album finishers die set from Top Dog Dies to make beautiful albums, cards, and other paper crafts. First, we're going to start with this steel rule die, and on this side you can see that this is foam if you're not familiar with steel rule dies. In between here there's actually steel rule blades all the way around, which is going to be doing the cutting. What's great about wood steel rule dies is that you can cut a variety of materials, anything from chipboard, fabric, metal, thin metal, and anything basically that you can cut with scissors you should be able to cut with a steel rule die. I've already cut out one page here. You can see that I took some just regular chipboard and I adhered my paper to it first before I cut. So I adhered some pattern paper to both sides and it looked like this, for example, where I already had it all put together. And I'll show you how you use this in your Big Shot machine. You can also use this die in your Cuttlebug. And you put one cutting pad down, and then I will put my die right on top of that. And for this I want to use the plaid paper for the very front of my album. So I'm going to see exactly where that blade is, and I'm going to lay my paper, my chipboard with paper right on top of that. And I'm going to take a second clear cutting pad and I'm going to layer that right on top. Then I'm just going to push that right into the machine and roll it through. It's really easy to roll through. And you'll see that just pops right out. So now I have a chipboard album page that's ready to go. What I would do is if I was going to make an album, I'd cut out 6 or 7 different pages of these, which then I can layer with all of my shapes and photos, embellishments, and then I would either take metal rings down the side, or I can use my Zutter or other wire binding system and bind it right down the side. So these pages are great, but they need a lot of decorations to them to really make them pop. And so that's where you use your Mason Jar album finishers die set from Top Dog Dies. This is a wafer or chem etch die set, and when you get this, it'll come in this packaging here, and it will come all connected, so you'll see it's all one piece. So you could easily cut out these two shapes, but there's a third shape around the outside that is going to cut something that looks like this. So to do that, you just take your metal snippers and you snip the little metal connectors right on the sides to separate those, like I did here. So now you'll see that I have 3 separate dies that I can use however that I want. So I'm going to set these to the side. Now, to run these through, I'm going to set my wood die back. I'm going to get my multi-purpose platform and set that in. Now I'm going to place my cutting pad on the bottom. I'm going to take my wafer die, I'm going to leave the ridges up. One thing, instead of running this straight through with this parallel to the roller in the middle, what's better if you can take it and just angle it a little bit. It'll sound better as you go through the machine. So I'm simply going to lay my cardstock down. This is the textured side on the top, and so I'm just going to flip that over so that that is facing the die. I'm going to put my clear cutting pad on the top, make my sandwich, and then I'm just going to roll that right through. And you can see how I have a nice little sheet of a little label to fit on the outside that fits right on top of that jar. I can also use this for other journaling. It doesn't really have to be with this album, but I can use this on other cards and scrapbook pages as well. So I have that. For this banner shape, I wanted to cut this out of some metallic paper. And instead of using my thin metallic paper that I had, I wanted to give it a little bit more substance to it. So I just ran it through my Xyron and then adhered that to another piece of cardstock. So I'm simply going to set that back down onto my cutting pad. I'm going to put the metallic side down facing the die. Set my clear plastic pad on top. Run that through. And you can see how that cuts out easily as well. And it really has these little dots or pierce points that can really show off this shape and make it unique. And that you can then mix and match these with other shapes on your pages. Use this on some pages and some pages not do that. And as well, instead of cutting out this banner, what I can do is I can use the jar lid, which I can show you on this other card that I'm going to show you how to make. That is super cut out of that metal looking paper as well. And you can see the crease lines and the pierce points on there that really make this stand out. So that's how you make that album. Now, if I wanted to make that card instead, you can see how this is about 7 inches tall, and I would say this is about 4 3/4 inch wide, and you can see how I can make a nice card out of this. Now you're like, how am I going to do that? So with this plain shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, put my clear pad down again, and then I'm going to take a piece of paper that I've already scored. So I cut this in half, a little bit bigger than the width that I would need for 2 sheets. And then I'm going to look at this like this wood side is the front of my card. I always remember that to know which way I'm going to lay this down on the piece of paper. So I'm going to take my scored piece of paper and I'm going to lay this right inside the blade that's on this side of the die. So I'm going to take that again and put that on top of my clear cutting pad. And then put another clear pad on the top, making sure that stays right in place. And I'm going to run that through. And you can see how easy that was to turn that album into a great card shape. I've already cut out a few pieces for the front little label and the banner, and I also have a separate top that I can put on here. I can also, if I decided I wanted a different color, I can mix and match. This is great to sand down or add ink to on any of these shapes to really make them pop. For the inside of the card, you can put a circle, or I can take a rectangular piece of solid paper and just round the corners. Would be an easy way to be able to make a layering shape so that you can write your note on the inside.